Probably now is not the best time, but I am just making some notes and burning some time. Hi, welcome to the channel. How do I get this again? How do I open this thing again? Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, how do I get this thing working again to see the comments? I tell you, when you're not used to something. Hmm, chat filter top messages. Hi, whoever is on right now, welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, so I thought I got this correct the last time. I guess it will start popping up. They start calling. Hi everyone, can you just text me or can you just comment? Just say something in the comment box. Let me see what pops up on my screen. Hi. Clap your hands. Hi Alex, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me today. All right, that's how it works. All right, so I'm just burning some time here. I was supposed to be seeing some patients, but it's raining, so I decided to just take some time and start making some notes and do a live while I'm at it. Hi, Judith. How are you doing? Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy that you do. Yeah, I'm here just making some notes and just gonna be chilling with you guys for a minute, just in case anybody has any questions they want to ask regarding nursing immigration or anything else. So, how was your weekend? Yes, Mr. Craig Hoyt, thank you for tuning in. I will be. So, how was your weekend, Judith? Hi, Joshua. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, good, good. Mine was pretty good as well. On Sundays I spend a lot of time doing house chores and cooking up and all. I never cooked this weekend. Yeah, I haven't cooked this weekend, but yeah. Washing, cooking, cleaning, regular, housewife duties. Oh my word. So, all right. So I'm gonna be just waiting until a few more persons are on. I'm a nurse practitioner, silk and cookies. And yes, do enjoy and love what I do. Yes, it's a great profession. So, what area are you in? Silk and cookies? Yeah, so I do house call visits, going in the homes of patients and, interacting with them, hearing what's going on, what is it that I can do for them, do the regular orders. Yeah, so it's a pretty decent. I love the flexibility with my job. Well, why I went into nursing, so I was sick when I was much younger, and I really do appreciate how the nurses. I know I was pretty young at that time, but in Jamaica, you see everybody wearing their white uniform when you're growing up, and that was just something that I really admire with the nurses. So it was from that age, or tender age, I decided that I wanted to go into that field and just help out persons. Yeah, so I had my little love for nursing from back then, and then I just grew into it. I actually was doing teacher education at one point as well, and then at the time when I wasn't able to get into nursing, um, and so I started out with teacher education and then switched over to nursing. So yeah, so it has been a really good profession, so far for me. Jamaican women usually have more than one job. Well, probably in the US here, I guess. Sometimes, well, the thing about it is that, you see, when you're working in Jamaica, we work 8-hour shifts. I'm speaking from a nurse's perspective. We work 8-hour shifts. Sometimes we work 16 hours because you have to do double shift, because we're always like short staff. And so when you get here in the US, it feels a little bit weird working 3 days, even though it's like, 12-hour shifts. And so a lot of persons will probably pick up another job. But for me, initially, when I just moved here, I just, was working my 3 days, but then I was on a contract and I wanted to complete the contract early. So I just did more overtime rather than picking up a new job. And Judith says, I know of a person who takes the NCLEX on their own and apply it to a direct agent. It is about 2.5 years now. How far you think their process is? No. So if they're 2.5 years, um, oh, since they've done their NCLEX, that's just a little bit long, I would say, because when I did my process through a recruiting agency in Jamaica, and mine took roughly about 2 years for me to get into the state. So if that person had already done their exam on their own, I would say that agency is just a little bit, slow, and they probably need to just call in and find out what's the status on that. But I know at one point they were having issues with visa approval. So I don't know if because of that, that could be causing a problem as well. But that's since COVID, so I'm not so sure. But that person would have to probably reach out to their agency and find out why it's taking so long. Because if you have done your exam already, you'd have basically, fast tracked the process already. So yeah. But roughly 2 years, 2.5 years, that should have landed that person in the US by now. Yeah. So my process was pretty good. And just in case anybody is here and want to hear more about, the company, then I can always give you information regarding that as well. So, and I'm not an immigration specialist or anything. So whatever I answer on this platform, it's based on my personal experience. It's based on my experience transitioning from Jamaica to here. But with my company though, they did everything. So I signed up with them and then I went ahead and do the exam, and after that I got my visa and then got over here afterwards. So it was pretty smooth. I remember to like, all right, and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet, and remember to share the content. And just in case you know any nursing student, especially who is interested, in transitioning to the US, I'm gonna say they're not gonna, cause any brain drain or anything like that. But, everybody have their own, their needs. And sometimes in a different country, they might not be able to fulfill those based on different, reasons. So opportunities do come. And if that's a situation where they need to leave, then, um, and they need somebody to talk to, then they can reach out to me. And they can always go ahead and go onto my Instagram. I think my Instagram is like Instagram one. No, 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 no. Think Nursing one. And then my Facebook is Think Nursing. So they can always reach out to me on that platform. And I'm currently in the state of Texas. When I moved initially, I moved from Jamaica to Maine. And that was like, yeah, it was a big move. But if anybody is like, so for example, a person is trying to transition here to the States, I would say, it's always nicer to get into one of those rural states, let's just say. So like, Nebraska, because Maine is one, Nebraska, Iowa. There are a lot of places that they do need nurses, and so the process to get your license and all will be a little bit faster through those states. So once you do your exam through those states, then you can always transition or switch over once you're here to another state of your choice, and then the process is just a little bit easier that way. But yeah, those rural states, they need a lot of nurses, and so you might find out that a lot of travel nurses are not going there. So it's always nice to reach out, and find out information and see if you can do your exams through those states, and then you can always switch over later on. Yeah, but Texas is a really nice state. I love it here. It's very cultured, and you know, yeah, it's very nice. All right, keep those questions coming. As I say, we're discussing or I'm answering questions regarding nursing immigration, my move from Jamaica to the US here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. All right. And then the visa that I came up on was an employment-based visa. So with that visa, I was able to get approval from Jamaica. So when I got here in the state, 2 months later, I had received my green card. And then from there, you can always go ahead and, apply for your citizenship when it's time. So it was a pretty nice. You have some recruiting company or agencies who do offer visas, but they're more like H1. The what's that one called again? It's just like a regular work visa. So you don't get a chance to. Some persons I know they have to do renewals on their visa from there. So it's not really a green card they come up on. Which state you go when you get to the US? Yeah, so I went into the state of Maine. So that's all the way up north. It was very cold and lonely and yeah, depressing. A little place to shop. It's always snowing. Yeah, it's just cold. It was beautiful in the Christmas though. What is your go-to state and you are faced with great racism? Can you leave before your contract end? So with your contract, just like any other contract, there are certain things that, if you encounter, you can always go on and speak with your recruiting company. And that was the one thing I love about the company that I work with. They were always open to answer any questions we have. So if you're faced with that, you just follow the necessary steps. So for example, you can report it to your boss at that hospital that you're working at, and then from there you can also reach out to your recruiting company, and then from there they can go ahead and decide if they want to pull you from that facility if it's something that you're interested in, and put you to another location. I've heard of situations where persons came up because they were supposed to be working on, like, so for example, they're supposed to be working in the emergency room, and their emergency duty is outlined. We have our regular nursing roles and responsibility, but then some persons end up doing housekeeping kind of duty. Yes. And so a lot of persons were not happy about that. They reached out to the company. And so the company went ahead and pulled them from that state or from that, location back to their head office house them until they get another job for them and then send them out. I don't think it had delayed their application, their contractual terms or anything like that. It didn't delay anything. They were still able to, finish in the time period that was initially set in their contract. So if you're having any issues, just go ahead and reach out to the company. And as I say, they have their legal team who is able to answer all the questions regarding, contract and all. I know at one point there were some persons at oh, there is a time when you can actually break your contract without it affecting you. So, for example, or not necessarily you willfully break your contract, but I've known of one case where that person was doing something and it wasn't in the standing of, being like, say, for example, like emergency room nurse or based on your responsibility as a nurse. And that person ended up getting, dismissed by the hospital. And so what the company did was, they just let them go. So if you get dismissed from the facility, or I don't know what the initial, what they discuss in the contract, but if you got fired from your company, then you can actually break your contract because that was the hospital that you were actually signed up to work with. So I don't know if there was something else regarding it, but I know that person, they spent probably less than a year working for that facility, and then they got fired, and then their contract just ended with the company, the recruiting company. They never had to pay back anything, I was told. So, not saying we're gonna get any in trouble with anybody or any company now, but that was just a situation for one person I know about. But I want to really encourage anybody to break their contract because, because you're coming up on an employment based visa, you have to be very careful with that. So just treat it like a marriage. I keep on telling people, just treat it like a marriage. When you get here, they're expecting you to be staying with the company that you're working with and fulfill your terms of that agreement. So you don't want it to be a case where you show up here and then they feel as though, oh, you're just using the agency to get into the state and then leave. When it's time for you to get your citizenship, there's a possibility that can cause problems. What if you have a contract with a hospital and not an agent? Um, as in, are you talking about just you're a US citizen now and you sign up with a hospital? Or you came over? I don't really understand which one you want me to answer. What if you have a contract with a hospital? So if you have a contract with a hospital, you can always leave at any time that you want. It's the same thing. They have their rules and their contractual agreement. So you can leave at whatever time. As long as you're leaving on good grounds and you're not burning bridges, you should be fine. Send in your resignation, letter. So if it's a 2 weeks, 1 month, however, then just go ahead and do that and resign. Yeah. Because I've left, well, not really, I've been to hospitals before and it's probably just too quiet for me. And I just be like, I won't be coming back because I love to be, be busy. Let's just say that. So, yeah, I don't really like a quiet environment. So, but with the company that I came up with, my contract was based on hours. So it was supposed to be like a 3 years contract, but um, I had, so for example, 5,000 hours. That's what they wanted for you to actually complete your contract. So I was able to do that in 1.5 years and then um, ended my contract before the 3 years time. No, you came over not with an agent. You do the NCLEX on your own. Okay, so Judith is asking. Okay, all right. So if you came over on your own, not with an agent, you do the NCLEX on your own. Okay, so if you do that, you should be able to apply for jobs. But how is that person? Yeah, you should be able to just apply for jobs. The only problem or consideration you have to take is regarding is that person does that person have like a green card already? Something to prove that they should be fine for working here in the States. Do you have the English? Because if you come over without an agent, you should be able to just apply. Once you have your proper documentation, you should be okay with applying. Yeah, so if you're gonna be applying for any job, once you have the proper documentation to say that you should be able to work, then if you do your NCLEX on your own, it should be fine. You just apply to different jobs that are available after you get your license. So, yeah. All right, so I see about 21 persons on the live. Do you guys have any other questions, any concerns that you want me to answer regarding nursing immigration, moving from Jamaica to here, or just my experience so far? And remember to give me a thumbs up as well. And remember to share. And if you haven't subscribed as yet and you're just here listening in, then, feel free to go ahead and subscribe or browse through the page and subscribe. Okay, no, when you are not in the US yet, they pass the NCLEX and apply to a direct agent. They pass the NCLEX and apply. Yeah, so if you apply for, but why would, well, yeah, you can do that. You can do that because when I was in Jamaica, I had persons who already did their NCLEX and was able to, reach out to an agency and was able to get on with the process for transitioning here to the US and getting a job. So you should be able to do that even if you're not in the country as yet. So the company do offer, so for example, you already did your NCLEX. There is one route for that, and there's a other route where they assist you with getting your NCLEX done. And then it's gonna meet up back on the same, trip where after you've done your NCLEX, whether you did it privately or if you did it through the company, then you will be able to continue with the process where they, try to assist you with your green card, getting your job, job offer and all. So the repayment probably a little bit cheaper for probably like, about $1,000 or so, but yeah, it's not that bad because I've had a lot of persons or know of a lot of persons who did it um their own NCLEX and then reach out to the company and then started their process with them. Hi Kia. Yes, so as I said, when I the visa that I came up with is an employment based, so it gives me, the ability to live and work here permanently, and then after my 5 years, I'm able to apply for my citizenship. So if you want to go ahead and buy a house at the time, then that's up to you. When I got here, my company that I was working with, they assisted with, me getting my credit card, me purchasing a car. So all of those were plans that we discussed, trying to find an apartment. So all of these were things that we were discussing even from Jamaica. So you know what car, you're going to be choosing based on whatever state you're going. So they have like they collaborate with like, banks, credit unions, car companies. So that way you go ahead and choose all of that. And then um and then you would go ahead and get all of those on your arrival in the US or whichever state you're going to. Which agency did you use? ah so I did use an agency that is based in Florida. And yes, I would recommend them. You want to know the agency name, right? All right, so if you're going to be using them, Daniel Fior. Hey, I know that accent. Welcome, Daniel. Yeah, I'm from Jamaica. But yeah, so that company, I haven't gotten an affiliate link as yet. That's why I don't really want to say the name as yet. All right, I'm reaching out to them so I can actually get some information. So that way, when I put it out on my channel here, at least, it's benefiting both of us. But yes, I would definitely recommend them. I would definitely recommend them. As I said, they were there like right through the entire process. They were there. I never really had any doubts with anything that they were doing. I know of other companies because I've had friends with other companies who had a horrible experience with their transition. And I just feel like, if you're coming from another country to here, you want somebody to guide you, even if they're holding your hand. Yes, you want that kind of transition. And that's what I felt with the company that I was with. You know, when I got here, there was somebody at the airport to assist with taking me to the hotel. You know, we were staying at a apartment that they had, and they provided courses to get us prepared. They went ahead and have a few days with us at a hospital that was close by, so you can get an idea of what the hospital look like and what an EMR system looks like, just in case you're accustomed to paper charting. And then they went ahead take us to Bank of America to get open our accounts. They went ahead and take us to a credit union. We got a credit card. We were able to apply for a car loan because, as I say, when you get up here, we already have a green card that is like on the way. So all of that we were able to do in when you get it. Okay, I don't know who is that with the lips. Yeah, Eli, I'm thinking, says whenever you get an affiliation link, let us know ASAP. Okay, no problem. Thank you. But we were able to get a credit card through, um Advantial, and then we got our car loan, and everything was processed. Everything was processed in a timely manner. So they literally drive us. It's a group of us. They drove us down to the banks and get all of those done. And then when it was time for us to move to the state, or even before, they assist us with, getting our apartments going, search going, trying to find out, what car we needed, so there was so much information that they shared with us that was very beneficial, based on the different states you'll be going, trying to make sure you're buying the right clothing. Yes, because that's important as well. And then with the car loan, the car itself, we were able to go ahead and order your car from Florida. And then by the time I transitioned to Maine, I was able to just, step off the plane, drive over to the dealer, pick up my car, and drive to the hotel that, they were housing me. So it was a pretty smooth transition. And while you're in your state, whichever state they send you to, there was a transitional specialist there as well that was helping along the way. So at no point you felt as though you're just, in America, not knowing anything that is going on. There is somebody who is already accustomed to, Maine, Iowa, Nebraska, wherever they send you to, that is there for 3 days trying to get you set up with your apartment, take you shopping, all of that thing, make your apartment look good, and then they leave afterwards. But you still have persons you can reach out to during that time. And that 3 days that you're there with the transitional specialist, they take you to the hospital as well to do like a meet and greet for a few minutes. So that way, by the time you go there for orientation, they would have been a little bit more familiar with you. So it was a very smooth process. As I say, never had any problems with them. Um, the pay was pretty okay. I wasn't complaining about the pay because I tell you, when I started I was trying to get my NCLEX done, and I was gonna start through New York because there's so everybody there. So I was trying to get that process going through New York, but it was taking a lot of time. So I'm not saying persons cannot do it independently, trying to get their NCLEX independently, but I'm gonna tell you that with this company, because they did everything, they assist you with everything. I don't think I would have gotten over here during that time period that I transitioned, because it was a very smooth process. And for me, if I was doing it by myself, you'd have to be thinking about doing all of these, finding out where you're going to do some extra courses so you can actually meet the qualifications to apply for. So it was pretty good. Whenever a person go on the program, do they take more than one person together, or are you alone? Oh no. So it depends. If you already with my company, If you have a family, then you can go ahead and take your family with you. So husband, wife, and children. That's it. You can go ahead and they assist with filing. The company went ahead and pay for their whoever they're recruiting. They went ahead and pay everything. So you don't really pay anything out of pocket for that part. Um, lie. I think no. So we had to pay for the immigration fees and all. I'm gonna put a question mark there. Yeah, the DS-260 form and all. I think I had to pay for all of those, but that was the only thing that I had to pay up front. And that was like, after you've done your exam, gotten your job letter and everything, you've gotten your green. No, yeah. So you've gotten your license and everything. And then after, when it's like to that point where you're supposed to go into the embassy now, then you will go ahead and do that paperwork. So you're able to take your relatives with you, as I say, husband, wife, and the children, but you'd have to pay for their paperwork and everything, and then you come up. They come up with you. What's the commitment like yearly? So as I said, the contract, it was a 3-year contract, but it is also based on hours. Hours, sorry. It was also based on hours. So it's like 6,000, I think it was like say 6,054 hours. And it wasn't like say dependent on like anything. You can do your contract and end it however you see it fit within that 3 years. I did mine in 1.5 years because when I got over here, I never had a child. So, and I'm not used to working only 3 days. So even though I'm working 3 days, 12-hour shifts, it felt more like a vacation because I'll be working like say probably 6 days on, 8 days off, that kind of vibe. So you feel as though you're just on a mini vacation almost every 2 weeks. So it's like I have the opportunity to go ahead and end my contract early. So I continue doing overtime, and all of that overtime hour goes towards your contract. So you're able to finish it before the 3 years. To be clear, the agency pays for the nurse, but the nurse pays for the family members. Yes. So the agency pays for the nurse regarding your immigration and all, and the nurse pays for the family members. And then everybody can come up whenever. And it's the same thing. Even with the family members that do come up. So, for example, you have your husband, your wife, coming up with you, and you want to get a car. Remember, at that time, you don't have any credit score. You might have a credit score of 750 on paper, but you don't really have any weight with it. You don't have any history at all because remember, you are on an employment based visa and you're with that company. So basically, that company is like responsible for you. So while we're able to get the credit card through the company and your car through the company, all of those is still linked to the company that you're working with their credit score, their EIN, that kind of situation. So for example, you have your husband or your wife here with you and you want to get a car. You are able to still go ahead and apply to get a car loan or a credit card through the company as well. So whichever bank you went to, Advanced, Bank of America, whatever is given to you, you can do the same thing for your husband or your wife. And so, everybody still feels a little bit more comfortable, able to get around. Versus, I know about another company who does little to nothing. And so it kind of leave persons just, in a really bad position. So that's a good thing about the company that I am with or was with. What if you haven't been driving for a while? Do they make provisions so that people go and come from work? All right. So if you haven't been driving for a while, so this is one thing I want to say. When you get into places like Maine and all of those places that is in like the rural areas, um, honestly, they have taxis there, but you don't want to be taking taxi like to work, especially if it is cold and so my company, they encourage us from Jamaica to go ahead and start getting comfortable around the steering wheel. Yes. So by the time I got into Florida, we spent 6 weeks in Florida with the company where they, do like cultural transition classes with us. They teach us how to drive with, the hope that you'd have already experienced some form of driving in your country. So they take you to classes where they'll teach you how to drive, get your driver's license, and then from there, I think with Florida, it's easy to transition your license in other states. So when I get my Florida license, I had it there for probably like say 2 3 months. And then when I got into Maine, I switched over. I never needed to do another driving test for Maine. I just switched over from the state of Texas, from the state of Florida. Hi, Daron. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, yes, so that was it regarding driving. So by the time you leave Florida, because remember you'll be doing your driving exam in Florida, by the time you leave Florida, you'd have already, feel a little bit comfortable with the road. And especially if you're in the rural country area, the good thing about it is that, you're not going to really have much cars on the road. So you can literally sit and think about which direction you're supposed to be going, especially if depending on what side of the road you normally drive on in your country. So yeah, did you pay a lot of taxes on your overtime? Also, did they put your overtime on a separate paycheck? All right, so no, everything was pretty much on the same paycheck. So just like a regular paycheck where you see overtime this, overtime that, it's the same thing on my paycheck at the time. But remember, you're getting paid through the company, you're not getting paid through the hospital. So the thing about my contract, it was like say two contracts in one. So for example, um after you reach, I think it was like say 4,000 hours, then you can transition over to the hospital, where the hospital is gonna pay you based on whatever they're paying their rates for nurses in the state here. And then um you're still uh you're still with your contract, your agency. I hope this makes sense. You're still with your agents because based on the initial contract that you sign, to do 6,000 hours, the company is saying, okay, then because you've been a good girl or a good boy on your little trip here, we will let you go free a little bit. We'll let you go and work with the company full time and get some of those benefits for the next 2,000 hours. If you feel like you don't want to be working those 2,000 hours, then and you decide that you're gonna leave, then basically you're breaking the original contract with the agency. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, so it's like a two contract in one. So they make you go at 4,000 hours with the company that your original hospital that you signed on with. So that way you can start making a little bit more money. So for example, you get over here and your original contract with your agency was $28. Then, by the time you reach 4,000 hours and you transition to a full-time staff, you're not a international nurse on an agency contract anymore. By the time you transition over to that hospital, you're now working your money. You can be working, say, for example, $45, depending on your years of service. But you still have to take into consideration that you still have those 2,000 hours, remaining. And then once you finish it, if you feel like you want to run away from whichever state you were in, then you can do that afterwards. Um, but they never put any extra money, like didn't do an extra check for that. Everything was through the same check. What are some of the financial mistakes made as a new immigrant? Um, Financial mistakes made. So for example, well, I would say so I am not really much on, when it comes on to finances, but I can make, 1 and 2 cents out of nonsense. Let's just say that. So my thing is that when I got here, I am not really a big fan of credit card. I'm not a big fan of credit card because credit card just make you feel like you have all the money and you don't have none. It make you poor. Yeah. Fina- Um, so credit card was never my thing, but initially when I just started out here in the state, how I started with building my credit was through credit cards. But at the time when you just get here, no, like you're not gonna have a lot of companies giving you like, a big credit card. So the quickest way for me was to get like a store credit card. So I would get like a Old Navy, Kohl's, and which other one I had gotten? I'd gotten 3 credit cards, and then I'd gotten a cash back credit card with Bank of America. So once I start doing those, I use, go ahead, purchase things and then pay back. And then once I realized that my credit score was going up, and then you realize that persons are offering you credit card, I look for only credit card that were Visa or MasterCard. And then I will get like say one or two Visa cards, and then I close my Kohl's and my Old Navy credit card. So that way I don't have those to be thinking about. Those weren't like a big credit card or anything. It was more like say $200, $300, just to kind of get you in the habit of like, buying and paying back. So I would just say for persons who are coming over here, like you'll be getting like offers for credit cards like around the clock, especially as I say, because your credit scores seem high. And as you go along, your credit score is gonna improve. But I wouldn't say take all of them. No, take whatever makes sense for you and don't take too much because that is just gonna run you into problems. So avoid the credit card and you should be fine. Did you lose your benefits with the agency after the contract ended? Yes. So at the time when I ended my contract at 4,000 hours, or partially ended my contract at 4,000 hours, I was able to sign on to the hospital itself, and then I get all the benefits. So at the time, I was working real hard because I had a goal. Wanted to make use of the short-term disability and the long-term disability that they have at that time, because I was pregnant at that time. So I was like, okay then, but the short-term disability and long-term disability, those started on day one. So I literally ended my contract with my agency, and then 2 weeks later I went on maternity leave, on not maternity yeah on maternity leave, or FMLA. I took FMLA like 2 weeks later, because I was able to transition and get all of the benefits of the full time, the hospital benefits. So I really, I guess I lost my benefits with the agency because you're now full time with the hospital, but I still got all the benefits of working a full time nurse, as a full time nurse or staff nurse with that company. So you still get your 401k going, your short-term disability, health insurance, and all of those things that full-time staff would get. What are your thoughts on purchasing a new car versus a used car for a few thousand after arrival in the US? So thank you, Momo, for tuning in. I really do appreciate your time, and everybody else. So regarding the purchasing of a new car versus an old car, I would tell you, I love new things. I'm just think that you see when you have new stuff, it lasts longer and is less money and less stress. So for example, if you're gonna be going, if you're just moving over here, you don't want anything that is gonna give you a headache. So I would just say, find the time, budget well, and get yourself a new car. Because when you're here, depending on what state you're in, it's only you and God alone there on that road sometimes. Because yes, you might have your insurance that is gonna help with, roadside assistance, but at the same time, you want something that is gonna be reliable. So I would just say go ahead and get a new car because that is just the one way for you to get around. It's not like you can walk down the road there. So like if you're from Jamaica, you can just walk down there. So, or if you break down or so, somebody can just, stop and say, okay, then let me help you. Everybody just going past you on the road, and depending on the time that you break down or anything like that. Yeah, so I would just say just get yourself a new car rather than an old car. Um, it's gonna save you a lot of money. Yeah, so that's it. But another thing, seeing that you and made mention of the car, another thing I would say is when you get here regarding the insurance on your car, you know, for me at the time when I moved here, I choose everything. I mean, choose the high end of it because because I don't really know anybody over here. I never had any relative here at the time in the state I was going. I just wanted to make sure that whatever I was choosing makes sense. So make sure that your insurance has things like um, car rental. That's going to be very important. So make sure you add everything that you can at the time when you get here for your insurance, so that way if you're meeting an accident, the Lord forbid, at least you know you can get a rental in the meantime, or if something happens you can get a rental in the meantime. And there are some other things like you know the deductibles and all. Just make sure you look at those, so that way you're not spending too much out of pocket, and it's still going to be worthwhile for you. So yeah. But make sure your insurance that you're getting is a very good one. I use Geico. I started with Geico from then, and I still do have Geico now. I know other persons have other insurance, and I'm sure, you know, it's okay for them. But for me, it was fine. Um, Initially when I moved here, it seemed a little bit expensive at the time, but you know, as soon as you start driving, then the rate drops. Like every 6 months or so, I would get probably like a $50 or something like that. Not $50, $6 or something like that off. So over time, as your experience, you know, as your experience improves on the road, then your insurance will go your insurance will go down. Miss Moose. No, Moose. You cannot call me. You can go ahead and text me here. How may I help you? Thank you for tuning in. Wagwan. Nothing much. Nothing much. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. All right. Remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you're passing through and you haven't subscribed as yet, remember to go ahead and subscribe as well. All right. Um, yeah, so far the whole process was a pretty smooth transition. So, you know, if you're working with a company, if you're not working with one, it depends on how you look at it, you know, then you just have to make it work for you. Um, Larissa, do we have any nurses on here? Okay. Well, new grad. Okay. Do you have any area that you're looking into? Is that Eli? And so if you're a new grad, I would say, you know, it's always nice. What I love about, you know, my experience in Jamaica was that they try to rotate you to different places, so that way you know exactly what it feels like working in med surg, you know, gynae, peds. And then from there, if you never really know what area you love, then you should be able to, based on your little experience you'll be getting as a new grad. So that was a good thing about it. But if you're gonna be going in any area, you know, just make sure that you love that area, and you're gonna be loving what you're doing. So yeah. All right, not right now because I want to migrate, but in the future, midwifery. Okay, midwifery was is a good one. I wanted to do that when I was back in Jamaica as well. Okay, nice. I said 32 days, no Chireas in sandals. Okay, so Moose says he spent 32 days in Ocharias. Okay, hope you had a wonderful time. Okay, nice. You didn't didn't want to come back to the US. I know that feeling. Every time I leave, it's the same feeling I get when I go back to Jamaica. Yeah, it's a sad experience, you know, finishing your trip and then thinking about coming back here. It's like a different vibes when you touch down in Jamaica. Gosh. Yeah, so, but it's life. Oh, Kia, you're a nurse as well. Nice, nice. Congratulations. I remember when I did mine years ago. Okay. Yeah, so but as I was saying regarding the recruitment, you just have to make sure, and it's always nice to hear other persons, you know, opinion or experience with, you know, different agencies, and make sure you're choosing the right one, because it don't want to be a case where you come up and then, you know, probably somebody had painted a really nice picture for you, and then it's totally different from what you were experiencing or expected to see. For me, when I got into Maine, like, I did a little bit of a research regarding Maine, and at that time, when you see a temperature of 45, you're saying, okay, then 45 is nothing. um but then when I look at it and step outside that day, it was like so sunny outside, but then um it was so sunny outside, but my word, it was so cold. Yeah, so just make sure we're researching and, finding out information. Okay, nice. Eli says that who wants to become a women's health nurse practitioner. Yeah, nice, nice. Okay, and Moose says have a great day. No, Moose, you weren't a bother to me, but thank you for tuning in. Though, do appreciate your time. All right. Okay, when you want water, you go get it from coconut. That's right. When you're hungry, you go fishing. Exactly so. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, so I do gerontology, so I visit anybody over the age of 13. But for most of the time I'm seeing how the elderly patients. So yeah, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So I have a few notes that I have to chart up. There was a lot of rain today, so I kind of, take the time off. I'll see them another day because I don't want to get my shoes wet. And plus, it has been very windy from morning. So I'm like, okay, let me just watch what's going on. I don't know if tomorrow is going to be the same thing or it's going to be a little bit better tomorrow. Yes, with my new role, I have a really good work-life balance, Eli. I tell you, when I was working as an emergency room nurse, it was like you're always tired because you're doing 12-hour shifts, and depending on, if you pick up overtime, that was just always a lot of work. You're tired at the end of the day. It's like you're just drained, mentally, physically, all the different alleys, you're drained. And so now transitioning from emergency room nursing or bedside nursing, I get a chance to do this, get a chance to do this. I get a chance to spend a lot more time with my family. I don't work weekends. The only time I probably do a weekend is, so for example, I have a renal patient that, their work schedule, their days in the week is usually busy where they're doing dialysis. And so, depending on if I'm not able to see them in that time period during the week, then I will probably just make a visit with them on the weekend. But outside of that, yeah, the time, it's very flexible. I love it. I work whenever I feel like, and yeah, that's the most important thing. You don't have anybody constantly telling you, hey, hey, hey. And depending on if you're a really good nurse, if you're a really, really good nurse practitioner, and you're pretty independent, and you have things under control, then your boss might just love working with you, and so them not really bother you that much. And that's the good thing about it. That's what I love about what I'm doing right now. I just do my work, provide results, and that's it. Work life, yeah. Did I ever experience racism in the States? Yes, I have. I've been to a few hospitals where, so the only thing I can do is, and it was mostly like at work. And the only thing I do is, once you have any form of, experience like that, you just report it to your charge nurse or you just report it to your boss and just make a little documentation in their notes and excuse yourself from the situation. So a lot of times, when I find that that's the situation, I just, hand off and just make a documentation so that way I don't have to have any issues going forward. But in the like where I'm living, it's very cultured and all, so I really like it here. Um, I haven't experienced it like that. Just in the workplace there. Yeah. Um, Yeah, so it's pretty good. And I wouldn't really say focus on that, you know. You just come and give it your best shot and just kind of ignore what's happening out there, you know. So if you realize in your area that you have a lot of that going on, then excuse yourself. That's all. Don't argue with anybody about anything. A lot of times, like at one point, I know that sometimes you're driving on the road and a lot of persons tend to be showing fingers and all. And I'm like, you know, I think a lot of persons have a little bit of an ego problem. Yeah. Some persons have a little bit of an ego problem and road rage. So you just have to be careful with those. Sometimes they're there driving and you're wondering what happened because you're at a stoplight and nothing is going on, but the only thing you can see is a finger through the window. So, you know, just look straight ahead and drive and don't look at those folks. But yeah. Any other questions? I see about 15 persons online and about 5 persons hitting me up. Do we have anybody else who want to ask anything? And as I said, like with the recruiting company that I came up with, you know, they're going to send you to places that are safe. So don't feel as though, well, yeah, racism is everywhere, but don't feel as though you're going to be sent specifically to a place that is like, you know, driven by that. If you realize that that's the situation, as I say, they will pull you from that area and send it to somewhere that is going to be safe. Because as I said, they're responsible for you. So don't feel as though you're going to be put into that situation at any given time. But there is just so much that you have to learn when you get here, you know. As we're aware, there's so many things that you have to what about food and seasonings? Food and seasonings. Okay, then that's a good one. You know, this is America. Not everybody eat Jamaican food, or I'm not so sure what nationality you're with. You're welcome, Eli. No problem. But yeah, not a lot of places here. You know, like when I was in Maine, I used to drive. Probably like say 2 hours, 3 hours just to get some salt fish and yam. Yes, because a lot of places around the area never really have anything. I think later on there was like a African store that had like plantain and all those stuff, so I never needed to be driving like the 2 hours or 3 hours. But a lot of times I cook Jamaican food all the time, so my saltfish ackee. It was after I got here I was able to purchase ackee in the States. And even though, yes, me never really trust it because of tin ackee, and you know that they always say that tin ackee going poison you and all them stuff there. I was just, you know, wanting ackee, saltfish, bean, all of them things there. And in terms of seasoning, like, yeah, you have your regular seasoning, but not the powder seasoning that we use. But I always just use Mrs. Dash or Miss Dash, and that was it. So yeah, but in terms of food and seasoning, depending on your culture or where you're from, then some stores might have, you know, like I know that I was in Maine, Portland had a lot of, you know, Jamaican stuff there. And some Walmarts do have a little section for Caribbean people that you can always get stuff. And you have, what's that Mexican store called? Fiesta. Yeah, Fiesta has a lot of food items for, you know, Jamaican food items. And yeah, they have really good food. You can get chocho, plantain, banana, what else? Yam, saltfish, crab, anything you want to get. Okay, if you can't get Jamaican seasoning, if I can't get Jamaican seasoning, I tell you, when I go down on my trips and I'm coming back, my bag full of frozen food. Yeah, so all of my seasoning that I need, pack up in my suitcase when I'm coming back to the States here. So when I'm coming, when I go down, I get pumpkin. Yeah, you're probably wondering what she I could do with pumpkin or how she carry that up. Well, I let my family go ahead and start find pumpkin well in advance so they can go ahead and cook it and then mash it out. Yeah, man. Then put them in small bags, freeze it, and then when I'm coming back, yeah. So what I did was invest in a deep freeze. So any little thing I need, it's down in that deep freeze. Scallion, what else? Pepper, a scotch bonnet. I have my pumpkin. Sometimes, sometimes I can't find yam. So I have to go ahead and just get some yam down there too and freeze it so I can put it in soup. Just small pieces. And your powder seasoning, any little powder seasoning, my cock soup and all those things. Put them in my suitcase and come back up with them. So that way I have it. But yeah, if you can't get the Jamaican seasoning, that's what I do. Otherwise, I just work with Mrs. Dash and the regular onion, tomato, sweet pepper. Yeah, those kind of seasoning. But for majority of the time, I find a lot of, seasonings around. So yeah, it's not that bad. It's just like, your spice and all. What if you go in the winter and the snow is hard and you just learning to navigate the road? Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so that's the thing. So just make sure when you're depending on the state. So that's what I say. Not because you're probably driving a car that is, let's say Corolla, or a car that is not four-wheel drive in your country right now, and you love it. It doesn't mean that when you get here, probably that is gonna be the best car for you. Whichever place you're going, make sure you research. I did a lot of YouTube videos to find out which car would be a best fit for, like, the snow. And so, the good old, I had a Subaru before, but the good old Subaru, I never had any problems with it. It's four-wheel drive, so I never skid or anything, even though it was the first time driving on so much ice. So it works fine for me, or worked out fine for me at that time. But if you are learning, the most of the states, or at least I'm speaking with Maine, they did a lot of ice. They salt the road a lot of times. So, and persons were driving slow. So after a while, you kind of get used to it, let's just say. And you can always put on chains on your car. I've seen persons put on chains on their tires to help with the grip as well. So, yeah. What seasonings I recommend? Well, I guess it depends on your taste. Your regular seasoning, as I say, I just go with the different brands of the, not the brands, but the flavor of the Mrs. Dash, and that usually is fine for me. And as I say, I bring back seasoning from my country when I go down and just make sure that I have it. And I bring back, like sorrel and them little stuff there, so you can feel like you're at home. Yeah, bring back all of those things. But the seasonings you recommend? Yeah, anything that doesn't have MSG, you should be fine. What about loneliness? Yeah, loneliness is something that a lot of persons experience. I experience it, and even though you probably have your family, just imagine you're in a country and um, where I live in a duplex at the time, and there were probably 8 other houses there, and I tell you, the only time I see people is probably when they're driving and going in their garage, and that was it. Yeah, you don't really see nobody. Nobody don't really come out and say anything. It's not like in Jamaica, or I don't know where you're from, but it's not like people just come out and be like, "Hey, Stacy over there." So, no, dear, it's you and your family alone. You know, you and your family alone gonna be there. So it is very lonely, and especially if it's in the cold place and you don't really have much places to go, then yes, you're gonna be finding yourself in that little mood. When you get home, then yes, that is your safe haven. So that's why I said, make sure wherever you live, it is some place that is comfortable. Make sure you invest in a good bed. Make sure you invest in a good house. Make sure you invest in somewhere that have garage. And make sure you invest in, anybody going to do your plowing. Because you don't want to be coming here and going outside to do any plowing. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I never experienced that. I made sure, wherever I was going, that was a part of the package. Because I don't have time for them stuff there. Lord, that was awful. It was awful. The only thing is, like, whenever they plow, the garage door will have like ice or snow, so you have to think about that one. But for the majority of the time, once I open it and I see the snow, I just reverse and it will just go over. But yeah, but just make sure you invest in a good, apartment or property when you get here, so that way you don't have to have all of those headache and making you feel, sad about the entire situation or the whole transition. Not a problem, Eli. Really do appreciate you taking the time out to ask a few questions there. All right. Please remember to go ahead and, give it a thumbs up. And remember to leave your comments below for those persons who are joining in. And if you haven't subscribed and you're here, I hope that you will find something meaningful on the channel here that will encourage you to subscribe as well. All right. What time is it? 1:30. Okay. Yeah, it's 1:30 here now, 1:39. Um, so yeah, but just make sure you research on where you're going. Make sure you research on where you're going so you can actually get the right, clothing. And that was the other thing. When I moved to the state of Maine, I'd done some shopping in Florida. Yeah. And when they say you buy a jacket, but the jacket is not for Maine, yeah, you can buy stuff in Florida for Maine or Colorado. You have to make sure you buy stuff that are gonna fit the weather there. So even though you might have one of those thick jacket and it look fancy, you'll be like, oh yeah, you have to make sure you find something that is gonna say -30, -40, whatever it is. Find out what the temperature the jacket is gonna be good for, and get it there because when it's cold in Maine, it is cold. I've had situations where the glove stick onto my hand because of how cold it is. I come in the car and I'm driving probably like say 15, 20 minutes home, and I'm trying to warm up this car and the car can't warm up because it is just so cold outside. And not to mention, if you don't have a starter, invest in something that can start up a car, or you have and even though probably you have the warm seats, sometimes you'll be sitting there lifting your bum because the seat is still cold and you're trying to get it heated up. So you have to think about all of those things. You probably have a car that has a key to open it. Some days you might not be able to put the key in the hole because it will light ice up. So you have to think about all of those things when you're here. And as I say, if you don't have any company, and even if you have a company with you, they might not be coming to work with you every day or picking you up. So it might just be a case where it's just you alone and you're probably just stuck at the hospital because you can't get a key to open the door because it's so icy, or you can't sit in your car because it's so cold. But either way, I still just drive because it's better to try and drive home than to be at work, especially after a blizzard. Like, you don't want to be at work after a blizzard, or you don't want to be on the road after a blizzard because the blizzard are so awful. What if they send you straight to the state you are working? So I know. So, okay. So I know of a recruiting company that did that. And my friend, she never had a really good experience with it. She never had a really good experience with it because she never had anybody to pick her up at the airport, telling her where she'll be staying, and she had kids and all of those. So it can be, a bad situation depending on the company you're working with. If they just literally take you from one country and just send you to the state you're working without giving you that, little cultural transition course. The cultural transitioning course was very, very helpful because it kind of gives you an idea of, okay, clothing wise, what kind of car the options for cars that they would recommend based on your state, how you address persons, because in Jamaica you probably address them as nurse this and nurse that. And when you come up here, you might just have to say, Judith, Stacy. You call persons on a first name basis. And especially if you are not accustomed to persons calling you by the first name, some persons can get upset about it because you used to your Mr. and your Mrs. But then, you just have to get accustomed to the culture. So if they send you straight to the state, I wouldn't like that. And I won't recommend you, sign up with a company that is not going to give you that little comfort level of the cultural transition course or the class itself before going there. Andromeds. So nursing, stressing sometime. Yeah, nursing is very stressing. But it's dependent on, if you have a good work ethic and if you know how to balance your time and everything, then you should be able to function. Everywhere you go, you're gonna have a lot of stress. I've worked at when I just moved to the States, the hospital that I was working at, I never really have anywhere to compare it with. And so, I was like, oh my God, this is happening, and you just work with it. But then as I move out of the state and did travel nursing, I realized that hospital was the best hospital I've worked at since I've been here for the past few years. I've never worked in another hospital that was that good. It was the best hospital. And that's why I think when COVID had started, I was like, that hospital would be doing perfectly fine right now with their COVID cases because they had so many things in place from 2016 when I was there that was in preparation for COVID in 2021. You understand? So that has been the best hospital, the cleanest hospital I've worked at since I've been here. And even though in 2016 I was like, I would say right now, yeah, I'll give them 100% in terms of everything based on my experience working as a travel nurse at different hospitals and seeing how other places were operating. So, but yeah, as I said, my company, it was pretty good. So yeah. But nursing is very stressing. It is very stressing, and you have other persons in the environment, especially the culture, the culture at that place, that can make it stressing as well. Because especially if you're from another country, and persons are gonna think that you're the baby nurse because they feel like you don't know, anything that is going on. But nursing is nursing. So I always say, whatever you do in your country, yes, well, at least if you're trained by the international standards, then you should be able to manage patient wherever you are, and it shouldn't be that bad. But if it's a case where you know you come here and you really don't know anything, then that is going to stress you out. That is going to stress you out. So I always recommend, if you're in your country, get some years of experience under your belt because that is just going to prepare you for working here in the US, getting you comfortable with certain things. Because when you get here, it's always going to be like just a rush. It's a rush. It's a business. It's a business. Okay, we're going to do this, and this is the time period we're going to do it by. And if you don't get it done by that time, then it's going to be a problem because you're not making enough money, or, the patients are not coming in a timely manner, or you're not getting the patients going in a timely manner so other persons can come in and make more money. So as I say, it's a business here, so it's gonna stress you out a lot of time. But as I say, if you have good work ethic, and if you, depending on the department that you're working in, if you work well under stress, then it should be fine. All right. You just have to find ways of dealing with your stress because it will drive you crazy. It will drive you crazy. So yeah. And Venkaswaran. Hi. Okay. Um yeah, but my friend, when she got here, she had her recruiting company just send her here. There wasn't any transitional specialist. She didn't know where she was going. She never really knew where she was gonna find an apartment. As I said, there wasn't the best thing about the recruiting company is having a transitional specialist. And the transitional specialist is gonna be there to guide you, help you with those, initial part of, the transitioning process. So if you don't have that person, it's just going to make you feel sad from the beginning, and then you're just going to have additional bad experience as you go along because you might not know when to go ahead and get a credit card, or who to go to get a credit card, or how you're going to get a car. So the transition specialist is very important. So if you're with any company, I would just ask them about it to see if it is something that they have assigned to you when you get here in the States. And as I said, even if they're here for 2 days, 2 days is better than none. 2 days isn't better than none. So that was a good thing about it. But nursing overall is a stressing and it is a very rewarding job. So even though a lot of times it might sound stressful, there are days when you feel, happy about it. Especially as, for example, the stroke patients, they come in and after you finish working them up, whoever left side never done work before, or whoever had like a slurred speech, or you could see the facial droop, then after you start treating them, giving them certain medications, and you're able to see some improvement, then you feel good, knowing that you've done a wonderful job with taking care of that patient. So it's a very rewarding job despite everything that is going on. All right. And thank you to all the other persons who have been joining. We're just having like, a little discussion regarding nurse immigration moving from Jamaica to the States here. So feel free to go ahead and leave a comment or ask a question as we go along. Do we have anybody from Jamaica on this live? Should have asked that earlier. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be putting up I'm gonna schedule like, different lives for different days. So I might just be doing lives like early in the like on my lunch break, or depending on if it's a day like this where, it's raining, then I might just, hop on and see if there's anybody available want to ask any question. But I'll be open to doing a lot of lives regarding nursing immigration or my nursing experience here. So yeah. Hi Marie Allen, how are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. What area of nursing are you in, or where in Jamaica are you from? You sound like one of the best nurses. The US is lucky to have you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. I try to give my best. My thing is that, I always make sure that I treat the patient so I want to be treated. And so yeah, that's just how I go about doing my thing. Hi Elise, how are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I am here. Okay, Marie is from Kingston. I'm from Manchester. And Elise is another nurse on the channel. Nurse here as well. She's from Jamaica, so you can check out her channel. It's Elite's World. She is a L&D nurse as well. So check out her channel when you get a chance. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, nice. Thank you for tuning in, my Jamaican people as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think nurse and doctor are the strongest people. Yeah, because the stomach is very strong. I tell you, that is true. But for me, one thing I cannot tolerate trach suctioning. When it come on to suctioning sputum, that's a big turn off for me. Give me any, incontinence, bowel incontinence. Yeah, tell me to go and clean up a patient with stool. I'll do that, but don't give me any suctioning and trach here. Can't stomach that one. But yes, nurses and doctors, they have a really big heart and a very big stomach as well. So, hi Patrick Buckner, thank you for tuning in from St. Anne. Are you a nurse? Yeah, so it's nice. It's a nice field. So if anybody is wanting to come in, and you don't always have to be, at bedside. There's so many areas in nursing that persons can actually venture into. You can always go into midwifery. You can always go in, as a nurse practitioner. You can go in research. There's so much area that you can go in. When it comes on to nursing. And if you're into bedside nursing and you just don't want to stay at the one hospital and you want to hop around, then travel nursing is there as well. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Ellie says that's why I love L&D. Can't do all of those med search stuff. Okay. Yeah. So, that's a good thing about it. I never had a problem with med surge or when I did gynae or peds. Never had any problems with those. Initially, when I started peds, the little cries, I never really understand it. But after a while, when you get used to the different cries, then you'll be able to say, okay, then this one is hungry, and then this one is just being a little stubborn today. But you'll figure it out. But thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate. Marie Allen, um, what area of nursing are you in? Or are you just, joining because of other reasons? Are you off today, Elif? Okay, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, so but I love emergency room nursing. That's my baby. How I ended up in house call. Um in primary care. Initially, I started out with acute care, but then I wanted something that was going to be away from the hospital because I wanted a little bit more flexibility. I was just a little bit tired of hospital. And I didn't want to be like, working constantly on I didn't want to be doing on call. I don't want to be doing any overtime. I just want to work a 9 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then that's it. No weekends. I've done over 10 years of bedside nursing. Can't look at myself doing that for so much more years. Okay, Patrick Butler, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you taking the time. Okay. Yeah, so that was just me. But yeah, I love emergency room nursing. Um, it's just my go-to from not primary school, from nursing school. Okay, nice, Marie. Nice, nice. Practicing RN for 6 years. Nice. Okay, and I know the Jamaican nurses are doing wonderful jobs down there. So big up on yourself. Big up yourself and the others who are making a difference, despite everything else that the public is saying. I tell you, we have a heart and we have a really big heart down there. A lot of times persons don't really see what we're doing, or they do see what we're doing, but they don't really understand what is going on. So big up yourself, Marie, and any other nurse on the platform here, especially from Jamaica. Because as I say, every day people cuss us. Every single day people cuss. But you just have to give it your best and do what is best for the patient and do it with a willing heart and do what you have a passion to do. So, all right. Yeah. So, but yeah, but I never really thought about, primary care. That was where I was gonna go. But then after a while, as I say, you just decide that you want to change. You want to change your direction a little bit. And so I picked up primary care. And I thought I was gonna be bored initially when I started, because as I say, I love emergency room nursing. I love to be on my feet all the time and just all over the place. I'm not a chaotic nurse, but I just love the energy that I get from emergency room nursing. And so I did primary care because I wanted to. A lot of times, everybody are going to acute care, and nobody is remembering our elderly population. Nobody is focusing on them, and so it's like, okay, then I'm gonna be one of those nurse practitioners who, try to make a difference and try to improve at least a few person's life in the primary care setting, doing house calls. And funny enough, I love it. I'm enjoying every aspect of it, except the parts where the place is not so clean, but you just have to work around it. But it is it's very good. I have my days when it is just sad because of everything that's going on, but yeah. And for anybody out there who is thinking that, oh, they're probably not going to do their masters, I would say go ahead and still do your masters. You might find something to do with it later on. So if you're not, if you don't have any kids right now is the best time to go ahead and do it. Because you see, when you start having kids and kids start running around the house, oh Lord, you don't have no time for yourself nor for the kids them. I have only one, and I have a little time for myself and my son, but my word, you just have to, So I would say go ahead and start your 1-1 course, even if you're not doing every single, course in the correct order, or not necessarily correct order, because you have to do it in a certain order. But just go ahead and start 1-1. You just want to make sure that you start because you must finish. You understand? Just do the one, because each time you do your first course, it's gonna be a case where you decide that, oh, let me go ahead and do this one. So, go ahead and do that before it's too late. All right. Just driving and Patrick is just driving and listening. Okay. Yeah, and is that you always nice this because nurses are very horrible. Is that you always nice, Stacy, because some nurses are very horrible. Well, this is just me. Um, this is just me. A lot of times I don't know if my voice sound loud to you. I don't know, or because of my background in nursing or working in the emergency room. But a lot of persons always think that this is a tone that they don't like. I don't know, but as long as I'm getting the job done, I think it should be fine. But yeah, this is just me all the time. And I think the other problem is, when you get here to the States, especially, yeah, from Jamaica, we handle things. So for example, we handle situations a little bit different because if, for example, there is an issue, we handle it like, nurse to nurse versus jumping all the way to manager. We're not used to that. And so when you get here, you just have to understand the culture. You understand? And so everybody just think you're not nice anymore, even though you're probably doing it the way that you think is right. Because if, say, for example, I see you doing something and I say, John, you're not supposed to do that though. And it should have been something, a conversation between you and we just say, okay, then that's it. Then rather than that person trying to, reflect on what just happened and try to make it be something cool, we can just continue being colleagues. Oh Lord, in the US here, that's not how it go. The chain of command, people don't really respect that anymore. It's like they see you doing something rather than addressing you so you can actually change. Them jump all the way up to manager. So yeah, but this is just me all the time. This is just me all the time. Elite says I'm going to try and sleep. Elite is going to work. Okay, hope I'll be able to join another. Okay, no problem. Thank you, Elite. Enjoy your shift and get some sleep. Um, Hi, and Pretty Eyes. Thank you for tuning in. I love how happy you are in your profession. I am a certified geriatric nurse, not working in the field yet, but I'm currently doing practical nursing, finishing next summer. Any advice for me? Any advice for me? Okay, no problem. Nice. So you're geriatric. Okay, geriatric. As I say, you just have to go there with an open mind. There are certain things that you're not gonna like. There are certain things that you're gonna love, but yeah, you as long as you have a passion for nursing, you'll work around anything that you see. Anything that you see, just try not to go there and be too cocky, just go there and be down to earth to the patients and try to understand from their level. And that's the most important thing. You'll get more things done like that, try to put yourself in the patient's position. That's the most important thing. Marie Allen says, thanks for sharing your experience with us. You're welcome, Marie. Not a problem. That was one thing why I decided to, go ahead and create this channel because at the time when I was moving to the States, you have a lot of persons with different channels that highlight different things, but I wanted it to be something, especially for my Jamaican people and other persons as well who are transitioning. Um, at least they'll have somebody where they can actually come and ask a few questions if that is something that they're interested in. And so, it's always nice to hear from the horse's mouth what is going on out there because some persons can come out there and tell you a lot of stories and the stories just seem so good. But, when you come over here and experience it, their story that they just tell you or they told you before is not what you're seeing, so your expectation is going to be a little bit different. So it's always nice to have someone, and especially with me, my culture, me understanding certain things. What is it that I might not like because it's a part of my culture and a lot of persons probably don't like it as well. At least I can come and share it so you can know that this is how they handle situations in America versus how we do it in Jamaica. So that way you can be a little bit more, open-minded when you get here with certain things or know how to handle certain things when you get here. So that's about it. Pretty Isis, thank you. Not a problem. And feel free to always reach out to me, regarding anything. I will go ahead and do a live as well regarding anything that I've learned while I getting ready for, NP. working as an NP, in terms of my license and all. You can always, I'm going to post more information on those as well, like, my experience with it and what you can get going in the meantime. So I'll be posting a lot of information on my channel, so feel free to check it out. And the most important thing as well that I'll be doing on my channel is just having nurses. So if you're a nurse, that is one thing that I'll be doing. Having nurses come on and share their experience. I spoke about my background growing up, but I will definitely be having nurses, or that's a plan to have nurses on the channel where they can share their story and just highlight, how their upbringing was and how they got into the field of nursing and where they're at now, just to kind of encourage other persons out there, because I know at times we have a lot of persons just sharing the bad side of nursing, and so a lot of persons might not want to go in there anymore because nursing is just stressful, or the hospitals are just awful. But sometimes we only share one and two stories of what is happening out there, but the bigger picture is nursing is still a good profession, and everywhere you go you might have your experiences. So I just want to get nurses here highlighting different aspects of their transition and all, so that's going to be good. All right, Judith says, so when one going over there, do they have to take enough money so they can take care of food, clothing? Okay, clothes and housing. So yes, when you get here, so the company that I was with, they encourage you to go ahead. At that time, they said try to save between $5,000 and $10,000. $5,000, and that was in 2016. So they were saying have $5,000, and then you will get a credit card for $2,500 with the bank that they signed us up with. So that would be like, say, $7,500. All right. If you have more money, that's fine, but that was the bare minimum that they recommended at the time. And then they encourage you to take whatever you can take from your country. So if you feel like you want to take your towels or whatever it is you want to take at that time, feel free to do so. So that way, when you get here, you don't have to be spending that much money on additional items such as, clothing, towels, bed linens, etc. So you'll be saving a lot of your money that you walk with. So that's about in terms of budgeting. And then they also give you a breakdown as to like how much you will be spending for probably like an apartment, your car insurance, your health insurance, all of those things. So you have a basic idea as to what, you'll be spending. So enough is good, but if you don't have, try to have your bare minimum. And no, I think with the because that was what, 6 years, not 6 years ago, 2016 is what, eight, almost, yeah, little over 8 years or so. So by now, cost of living would have increased, so you'd have to take more money now to help with all of those. But the thing about them is that, at the time, I don't know if they're still doing it, but at the time when I was in Florida, at the time for the 6 weeks, the house that we were staying at, we had access to like rice, flour, sugar. So we never had to be buying like starch and all of those things because they provided that for us there at the house. So the only thing you needed to think about was like protein, and if you wanted any fancy other thing to buy in that 6 weeks. And then the other thing that they did in order for us to earn a little bit of a money, because even though you sign a contract from Jamaica, what we did was, or what they did was have us at that place where they're doing the transition, the cultural transition in, and getting us with other things done. Um, we were still earning like a little stipend for the little 6 weeks we were there. So the company was paying us like a bare minimum. So that would help with, buying any toiletries or anything that you need during that time. So they were still paying us a little bit of money during that 6 weeks until you got over to your state or the hospital that you'll be working. And Judith says, so what if the hospital takes care of housing for a period of time? Housing, hospital. Sorry. So what if the hospital takes care of housing for a period of time? I don't know about the hospitals paying for housing. Yeah, I don't know about the hospitals paying for housing. In Jamaica, no, not even in Jamaica, because you still have to just rent. I don't know about the hospital taking care of housing. The only time that the hospital, I remember the hospital would pay for, boarding is, for example, they know that there's going to be a blizzard the next day or two, then they will put you up in a hotel that is close by the hospital at that time. But in terms of housing, no, I don't know about that one. The agency will put you up for the 6 weeks when you move to the States. So you're not going to be paying any rent at any property because that's their property that they house all their recruitees. So if you're from the Philippines, if you're from Africa, Jamaica, wherever you're from, that's where everybody stays for the 6 weeks, but you don't pay any money and they pay you during that time. So, yeah. Pretty Eyes says, I am considering applying for work in that field in the US. Where do I begin? I do not know of any agencies or of nursing homes, hospitals, etc. that would employ. So yeah, for that part, I'm not so sure, especially if you're coming as a nurse practitioner, to be working. So the only thing I would say is the quickest thing would be to, but then you'd have to spend some time, you know, you'd spend some time working as a nurse. But I don't know about any nurse practitioner recruiting agencies, unfortunately. Um, yeah, so the only avenue I can think about is coming in as a nurse and getting your experience, and then transitioning over to working as a nurse practitioner. But that's going to take a few years. So, yeah, I don't know about any other company that does NP recruiting. Sorry. All right, I know someone going and the hospital is providing housing for 3 months. Okay, so that's probably because of a direct. So Judith, that is probably because of a direct recruitment. So you have hospitals that can actually do sponsorship. So if that's the case, then probably, but I'm not familiar with any other method for that. So if the hospital is actually gonna be granting you your green card, then I think probably, they will have additional, benefits that they will give. Andrew Meds, I like your growth in terms of how you elaborate, break down things the way you can. I enjoy your topic so far. It's eye-opening. Keep up the good work and deeds. Thank you so much, Andrew. Not a problem. I try to be transparent as much as I possibly can. And then from there, Pretty Eye says, or maybe an agency here in Jamaica. How did you get employment there? Okay. Oh, so Pretty Eyes here from Jamaica. So I I came upon a recruiting company. Came upon a recruiting company from Jamaica. So you have different companies that comes down and does recruitment. So that's one of them that I came up on as a registered nurse. And then after, 1 year here in the States, and I started my MSN, and then, started practicing recently as a nurse practitioner. So I didn't come up as a nurse practitioner. I came up as a regular RN. I did a few years working as an emergency room nurse, then transition over to NP. Yes, Judy, that's the only way I'm thinking. So, okay, let me put back up. So, yeah, so I think it's just a part of the benefits that the hospital will be giving um, that person that they're employing. Um, to be working there. So it's just a part of their benefits, just like, their medical insurance, health insurance, social, not social security, health insurance, green card, and all. Thank you for tuning in, D3DD. Registered nurse needs more money than doctors. Of course we do. Of course we do. We do a lot of work, but I'm not gonna debate on that one. So, but nurses, yes, nurses do a lot of work. Because at the end of the day, I tell you, when the doctors put those orders in, the nurses have to still come and medicate and do everything else. So, I would agree on that. But in this society, today's world, no, they're not gonna be thinking that. So yeah. Sharon McClarty. Good day, Sharon. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. All right, I'm not gonna answer on that one, TD. They're evil. Okay, no problem, pretty eyes. Thank you for, asking those questions. Yeah, but if I do find out any information regarding, regarding that, then I will definitely reach out and let you know, or I'll post it on my, my community board. Anything that I get regarding that. Yeah, but I don't know about any NP recruiting company. I know O'Grady. I know O'Grady, they do the recruitment of nurses as well. I don't know they do physiotherapists. I don't know if you can probably can reach out to them to see if they also do nurse practitioners, because I know they do respiratory therapists, physiotherapists, and RN. So I would just probably reach out or look on their board to see if nurse practitioner is a part of what they're looking for. You're welcome, D3D. Alvin says, what part of Jamaica are you from? I'm from Manchester. Yeah, I'm from Manchester, South Manchester. So if you know, Manchester itself, I'm from the southern part. All right, that's home. Are you a nurse, Alvin? And thank you for tuning in. Sharon, are you a nurse? Thank you so much for tuning in as well. I'm just here discussing or answering one and two questions regarding nursing immigration from Jamaica to the state here, my experience. And as I say, I'm not an immigration specialist. I'm just sharing my opinion and my experience with the process or the transitioning process. Okay, no problem, Pretty Eyes. I will definitely do that. Yeah. Of course, we need more male nurses. We definitely need more male nurses here. But when I was doing nursing in 2000 and yeah, years ago, I think we had probably like say was it three nurses in our batch or two? Three nurses in our batch, yeah, at the time. And everybody was kind of like, oh, male nurses, but yeah, there was a little bit of a stigma. But then after a while, a lot of nurses, male nurses start, coming into the program at the university that I was at. And so now it's like a norm. You go down to Jamaica, you see a lot of nursing students wearing the uniform. So it's really nice that we're evolving, or people are coming to understanding that nursing is not only for a female, it's not a female profession. Okay, Alvin says, I'm a pastor and a missionary in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for tuning in, Alvin. And Sharon says, no, I'm not a nurse. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the channel. And if you haven't subscribed us yet, remember to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Okay. All right, and remember to go ahead and give a thumbs up as well on the channel. And nurse is a heavyweight job. Okay, okay. Yeah, you have to have a little bit of a strength, physically, mentally, to deal with everything that, is happening there. But you definitely need a lot of physical strength because, yeah, you definitely need a lot of physical strength when it come on to nursing, because sometimes you might just there and you're thinking it's just gonna be, you have to do a lot of pulling, lifting, pushing, turning. Okay. Okay, nice, Alvin. I hope you did enjoy your time in Jamaica on that missionary trip. Okay. Yes, quadriplegics are a handful. Yes, it is. It is. It is. But that's a good thing, when it comes on to nursing, you have to have good relationship with your colleagues. You have to have teamwork, It's not about my patient only. If you have that kind of mentality, it's not gonna work out for you. You're gonna be like drained and tired by the time your shift end because nobody's not gonna come and help you when it's really needed. So you have to have the mindset that, it's a team effort. So even though you're probably focusing on your patients, you need to remember that other patients are there, and it's not only these two that you're responsible for. It's everybody in the building. And that's the thing, like, when I was in Jamaica, that's what we do. We do a lot of team nursing. So if we know that a patient over this side is coding, we literally come over and help regardless of where you're from, you know But here in the state, they might say it's team nursing, but you don't really find it. They just preach it, but you don't really find it team nursing. It's whether or not them like you, whether or not you and them are friend. That's more of it. So you're not really seeing that much of a team nursing that you'd expect. Patrick City in Kingston. Oh yeah, I know Patrick City in Kingston. Or halfway tree. I think it was like halfway tree, heading to halfway tree, I'm thinking. Um, Patrick City is. Do you know where that is? Yeah, I think that is heading into halfway tree there. Um, with those patients, you need two people. Definitely, definitely, you need two people for those patients. So, persons need to understand all of that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Alvin. I know Patrick City. Because a part of my program was in Kingston as well. So I had a friend who she was living on Patrick City there. So I figure more or less that's the same little area. Okay. Yeah, but it's pretty nice. Nursing is pretty nice. Um, Pretty Eye says, what's the name of that agency? Oh yeah, O'Grady. O'Grady, I know O'Grady. They have on their platform where they do recruit respiratory therapists as well. So you can check on that one to see if they recruit nurse practitioners internationally. So that way you can see if that's an option for you. Yeah. Any more questions regarding immigration or anything else regarding nursing? Do you like living and working in the States? Yes, I do. I do enjoy, living here in the States. Let me just say 50-50 because if I could go back home right now, yes, would I go back from day one because it was like a really, sad experience. But I do like the culture that I live where I live. So it's a little bit better than, the opportunities that I would have gotten in Jamaica. So yes, I do enjoy here. But in terms of, when I'm in Jamaica, it's more of, everybody's just easygoing. You don't have to know somebody to have a conversation with them. You can say hi and nobody not looking at you like you're lost or they're probably wondering what's happening. So that kind of culture, I miss it. I know my neighbors. I can, call to my neighbor and everybody is okay. Here, I don't know my neighbors them. I don't know nobody. So even though you probably say hi, that's it. But here is okay because as I said, there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity for growth and everything here. Resources, we have it here. I just wish we had a little bit more in Jamaica. And I know a lot of persons would be, happy with going back home. I know myself would be going back home very, very soon, or would have been home a long time ago, because of everything. But yeah, it's 50-50 for me. Um, yeah, and the money is good. Working is like when you're in the US here working, as I say, it's a business, so you just have to always be on, on the go, on the go, on the go. And that part, yes, I don't have a problem, working real hard and fast, but it's like you're just always working around the clock. There's no stopping. Mm-mm. They say nowhere is better than the yard. I disagree. What's your thoughts on that? Well, as I say, opportunity in terms of opportunity, it's here in the US. A lot of opportunity. We don't really have it in Jamaica. So, for me, here is a little bit better. The money is good. Work environment is a little bit better outside of, the culture that you have at some facilities. Teamwork, is good back in Jamaica. So, but as I say, it's just more about opportunities for me. That I really like it here. But otherwise, if I can go back to Jamaica every 3 months, yeah, I mean that. You know. Pretty Eye says, okay, I will check them out. Thanks. You're welcome. You seem very happy when you talk about home. Of course, home is where the heart is. Alvid. Home is where the heart is. So, that's where that's home. This is another part of me here in the US, but yeah, that's home for me. Um, all right. So, Pretty Eyes, now with the change in leadership there in the US, are you concerned for your job or license working there? I'm not concerned for either of the two. My license is fine, everything is okay with my license. When you're moving from one country to the to here, it's more of, you have to get your educational background checked out and verified, certified to make sure it meets international standard. And from there, then you're able to go ahead and do your NCLEX. And then from there, you can go ahead and apply for your license. So in terms of that aspect, my educational background would have met with the international standard. And then I did my master's here, so everything should be fine. And even when you're doing your registration in your your different state, they still ask you to get, like, sometimes they will still get information from back in Jamaica or your country, just to make sure that probably there wasn't any glitch with CGFNS, I'm thinking. Yeah. So you'll be working here, but yet still want to still go ahead and verify. And then one thing that I would encourage persons to go ahead and start budget for is there is this World Education System. It's something similar to CGFNS, but CGFNS is more for, like, if you're moving from Jamaica or wherever to come here and work. So that certification will last for a little time, but a lot of facilities are going towards this thing called World Education System, where it's another body that certifies and verifies that your international experience or your education, matches the US system. So I would say go ahead and get that registration done, so you can always have it when you're here, when it's needed. But I'm not really worried about my license. In terms of my job, I'm not worried about that either. Because jobs are always going to be there. You have patients who are getting sick, older, so jobs are going to be there. It's just dependent on your company. If your company is compliant with certain things, then you probably start worrying about that. But for the most part, I'm not really worried about the two. All right. Um, yeah. So I'm not really worried about either of the two. I know the other day, a lot of persons probably saying that they're gonna send back Jamaicans and all, but I'm not think I can't really understand if you're a citizen already. I don't know why they would be concerned about you getting deportation. So, but that's another topic for a different platform. But yeah, the other day somebody was saying it that I'm an illegal immigrant, and I'm like, no. I came over here. I did everything, so even though they changed the presidency, then I'm not going to be worried about that. All right. No man should be nurse. It sound a little bit, don't say it. No man should. Huh? Hold on. When you go home every 3 months, how long do you stay? Well, I'm not going home every 3 months anymore. Or I used to go home probably like, say, Hmm, prob not every 3 months, but probably like, say, 3 times, or yeah, 3 times or 2 times per year for some. But I'm not going home every 3 months. If I was saying if, that was the case, then I would be going home every 3 months. Um, Explain for me, Andrew Meds. No man should be nurse. It sound a little bit don't say it. Nurse prays for old people to get sick. Oh no, no, I'm not praying for the old people to get sick. I'm praying for them to get better. But as we age, that is something that is, you know, the end. But yeah, male is to be a gynae nurse. DD, male is to be a gynae nurse. You want to be a gynae nurse? Okay, okay, okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah, any field in nursing, as I say, as long as you have a love and um as long as you have a love for what you're doing and what you're going in for, then that's the most important thing. So just make sure you make the best use of it and you choose wisely, because you don't want to go into something that you're gonna feel miserable about. You go in every day and you're just feeling tired, and then you get upset at your patients. Nobody wants to be already sick and then by the time you go there to see them as a nurse, and they're hoping that you're going to have a chirpy or a smiley face, or you're going to be in a happy mood, then you come there with your miserable self. Nobody wants that. It's just going to add additional pressure to the patient and the family. So if you can, stop that, then yeah. They do it all the time. Let's brace for all they do it all the time. Oh, yeah. Well, if people are doing that, it's just sad. Our goal is to preserve life and not really to, pray for people to get sick. Regardless of us, it's a business here in the States. Thank you so much, Alvin. Bless up yourself too. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah. Um, Miss Urban Nursing. Okay. Yeah. Miss Urban. Okay, I think probably what happens with nurses, over time, especially when you're working um, for years, after a while, certain things probably just get to you, stress just get to you, and if you're in the same environment every day, yeah, you're gonna be miserable. For new nurses, when they come out and they're just experiencing, they're just learning, everybody's just in a chirpy, happy mood, and everybody want to, do things. After a while, the wear and tear of the work environment itself, starts playing a part in how they, present themselves over time. Some people, them start get miserable after 1 month because the work kind of get to them. So it's dependent on a lot of factors, you know. So all right, well, I am gonna run because I have to pick up my son from school for 3 o'clock. So you know, but I'll be here. But it was nice chit chatting with you guys, though. You know, it's 2:30 here, so and the school overs at 3 o'clock, and then after every, I don't know if it's every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes, they start charging probably like say $10. So them days they're done with. Like, can't be paying so much money for aftercare. So yeah. Thank you so much, D3D. Really do appreciate you taking the time out. I will definitely go live again, and you can check back in probably on like middays when I'm taking a break. I'll probably just stop by, to say hi, check in with everybody to make sure everything is going well. All right, thank you so much, Andrew Metz. Check out my community board so you can see whenever I'm live again, just in case you want to question. So feel free to reach out. All right. Really do appreciate everybody taking the time out. When I started this channel, I tell you that, I'm not really a YouTuber. You know them way there? Mm-mm. Me not really like camera that much because I just thought, me not make up them way there. So I thought it was gonna be a little bit more of a challenge with, trying to get persons, to come on my live or even interacting on my channel because I'm a shy person, let's just say that. So but I'm really excited about where the channel is going, what have been happening so far. I'm really happy about that, and as I say, I'm not trying to be an influencer. I just want to create content so person can have it, for future reference or as a guide, based on another person's experience, and that's what this channel is all about. So yeah, um, just like how you have regular YouTube that persons can come on and do whatever. At least there's a Jamaican nurse who shares, her experience and the do's and don'ts of when you get here to the America, that you can always come and get some information. Then that's what I wanted for this channel, as well as just to encourage other persons. So that's why I went ahead and share my story, because at least somebody knows where I'm coming from. They'll be able to understand why I do certain things, or you know why I might say certain things because of my background with or experience on a specific topic. So that's all. But as I say, if you know anybody who wants to share their story, and it's just gonna be, it's nothing fancy in terms of the little podcast that I'll be having, or the little sessions I'll be having with these nurses. I just want persons to come out and just share, their true self in terms of nursing itself. I don't want nobody coming to pretty up anything more than how it's supposed to be, colored up. Just come and give your piece, just be authentic with everything that we're doing. And that's what I want for my channel, some place that people can come and feel comfortable, just sharing their side of nursing, their experience, and ways they can encourage and motivate others. And especially for our Jamaican nurses, because a lot of us, we're doing so much, and the recognition sometimes it's not there. So I want persons to, see that there are a few Jamaican nurses out there doing well, or doing a good job at what they're doing. And so that's what I wanted for this channel, and that's where I'm going. All right, that's where I'm going with it. Okay, any other question for me? Or anybody else want to add something? I remember to go ahead. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed as yet, please remember to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, okay? I will. I will. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, that's why I'm cutting down on my vlogs with driving. Because I know it's not safe, but honestly, that was just one way for me to get some of my videos going. Because as I say, it's always a challenge with getting the content. I'll create the content, and then, you know, that's it. So it's always a big problem for me with the content that I'm creating, like trying to get them out in a timely manner, or getting the content, because I'm like always so busy. I am like always so busy. I know that, yes, I'm working as a nurse practitioner. I have a little bit more flexibility, which is good. But before that, as an emergency room nurse, I couldn't even go to the bathroom some days. So when I get home, I have no energy, I have no vibe to do any video, but I know that I wanted to produce content. And so I was like, if I can vlog while I'm driving, at least that will create some content. But at the same time, I don't want to be focusing on the camera. So um, that's it. Yeah, so I am gonna pick up my little boy and then head home, finish up my notes, and then I will definitely see you guys in another video. All right, I will definitely see you guys in another video. So until then, thank you so much for making it the Think Nursing channel, and for making it the live today. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. All right, until then, peace out. All right, bye everyone.